has a bachelor's in finance she's currently pursuing a master's in social work, also from the University of Houston. She is compassionate, empathetic. She's a compassionate and empathetic leader who thrives on collaborating and ensuring visions become reality. Her philosophy in life is that if there's something you can do to help others, do it now. She has been in the social work field for over 15 years and has implemented countless programs to improve the lives of the less fortunate. She works with victims and survivors of domestic violence, domestic and social, sexual violence. She has done countless pieces of training in trauma-informed case management as well as healthy relationships. She is constantly learning and improving to serve our clients better and empower them and their community. So please join me in welcoming these two amazing sisters the Nigerian way by saying Marhaba bikum, Marhaba, Marhaba bikum. Yes, Sister Bibi. Yes, Sister Sadaf. Mariaba. Bikum. Mariaba. You see, you all made me proud. Thank you. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. I'm so excited to be here and that welcome. Oh my gosh, I'm going to do it again. Okay, so like Sister Khadija said, my name is Bibi and I am with An-Nisa Hope Center. So before I want to tell you something about your community. In 2019, I came here to do a youth program and it was in Ramadan. After the program, I came to do iftar with everybody. And it was so amazing because nobody knew me. I was just a random person who came in to do iftar. I felt so at home. I felt like royalty in that moment because everybody was so nice to me. And I kept on saying, my God, if I lived on this side of town, this would be my community. So, Alhamdulillah, I'm here today, and that's why I'm so excited. Um, Another thing I want to say, like last year, we had a visit from a lot of you came to our office, and I think the national team, the national board, also visited with us, and we were really, really happy to have them there. So today, we have a lot to do, a little bit of time. So what I would ask is for us, if you have any questions, I want you to make sure you hold on to them, or if they're really something you have to ask immediately, just raise your hand so we don't waste time with it, okay? Just so you know, today's the very first time I'm presenting Sadaf Patel. I feel a little intimidated because first of all, today she's actually my boss because she's the director of education, right? Um, and another thing about her that you'll know, you see that presentation up there? That's hers. Where is mine? Nowhere. Because she is an overachiever. And that's why you'll see presentations. And sometimes she even takes out chocolates and all sorts of stuff. So I'm happy to be here with Sadaf today. Okay, so before we start with conflict resolution, does everybody know what a conflict is? If you don't know what a conflict is, raise your hand.
Do you have something to pass from?
I don't. I have it to send it on. Yeah. Okay. So now that we know what a conflict is, what I want to talk about is in Islam. I want to talk about conflict and Islam. Okay. So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala did not keep anything a secret, right? He told us clearly how we're supposed to live. He told us clearly how we live with each other, how we're supposed to behave with each other. There was no secret of how we're supposed to be, right? There's surahs, so many surahs that talk about how we are supposed to be, and especially in Surah Hujurat, they talk about all the things we should not do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us very strict order. So when we have conflicts, it's because we're not abiding by the rules of the Quran, or nor are we following what the Prophet ﷺ said. Okay? So starting on conflict, somebody give me another word for conflict. Raise your hand. Disagreement. What else? Other words of conflict. Arguments. Yeah. What else? How about like family breakdown? Is that a conflict? How about like issues with your husband? Those are conflicts, right? So conflicts are very broad. They're everywhere, right? So a critical, something very important that we want to talk about is the difference of opinion in conflicts, right? Conflicts, it goes according to our beliefs, our values, our goals. So I might have total different values than Sadaf. And does that mean we can't get along with each other? No, it means that we have to work around those differences to make sure we are put together. So conflicts are not always bad things. As a matter of fact, conflicts gives us an opportunity to grow. Why do you think conflict would be a good thing and help us to grow? Raise your hand, somebody. Go ahead. Anybody? Good. You learn from it, right? So sometimes you have a conflict, instead of making it escalate to craziness, you use it to make sure it doesn't happen again. You grow from it. So Islamically also, listen, we all have things that we have to work on. None of us are perfect. So we use those opportunities to get better. And this is very important for us to know. All conflicts does not mean we have to get a divorce. We have to, you know, kick our kids out of the house. No, we have to learn how to work around those conflicts. Okay. So, what are some things that we fight about? What are things we have conflicts about? Tell me, go ahead. Money is like a big one. What else? Yes, of course. What else? Beliefs. Definitely beliefs. Anybody else? Okay. Political views, religious views, right? Friends, like we are friends who are friends. Sometimes our husband doesn't want us to have specific friends. Sometimes we don't want them to have specific friends, or children and their friends, right? So friends can be a problem. We could find a conflict with anything. Let me give you an example. You, I don't know how many of you know me, but I can literally go into HEB and have a fight with somebody in there. It's that simple. So I see somebody doing something that's not right or being unjust to somebody else, I'm immediately going to go, hey, what are you doing? Bam, bam, conflict, right? It's that simple to have conflict. So why do we have conflicts? What are some reasons that makes us? And who do we have these conflicts with? What are the number one person we have conflicts with? All of those people, every one of them. Spouses, parents, children, co-workers, friends, everyone. People going to school with you, we have conflicts with everybody. And they have conflicts with us, okay? Don't think, oh my God, I'm so great. I'm great. They don't have conflict with me. As much conflicts that you have with other people, they have with you. Okay. So some of the causes of conflicts are the number one. I want to see who can tell me the number one reason for families to have conflict. Okay, money is not number one. One more thing bigger than money. Yes, communication, number one. Okay, communication is also the number one reason A lot of couples divorce. Okay. Oh no. Okay. So financial issues are number two. Struggle for power and control. Who can give me an example of struggling for power or control in a family? Yeah. 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 And we're constantly, who do we, let's get to the adults. Who are we constantly trying to get power over? Besides our spouse. That's it. Our children. We are constantly trying to show big. I am tough. I'm the parent. We're constantly doing that. Then when our kids get a little older, what do they do? They want to be known power. Okay. So unrealistic expectations, we all do that. We, I mean, I do that up to today. I try to control it, but we all do it. We want our kids to have all A's in classes. Okay. They will come home with A, C, A, and we're looking at them. C. That's who we are. There's different approaches of how we raise our children, right? I want to raise them. No, they can't. They have to go to sleep at 8 o'clock. No, 9 o'clock. Well, it goes on forever. And then there's a difference in personalities because, you know, we don't usually know ourselves. Okay. And then one day we're living with a stranger. And I know we're married and they're now our spouse, but I don't care what you say, they are a stranger at that first time. Okay. So we're married to somebody we don't know anything about. And is there going to be conflicts? 100% there will be conflicts. All right. So there are two ways to handle conflicts. One is obviously the positive way. And let's talk about some positive things that we can do when we have conflicts. The most important thing for me is one fight at a time. Okay. What does that mean? Okay, but what does one battle at a time mean? What the problem right now? Okay. As soon as we start fighting, what happens? We ready to pull up our sleeves? Well, remember 20 years ago when your mother said this to me, right? Remember you did this, you didn't buy me, chicken on the way home. But we go back into history and we dig up everything, and you lose track of what you're actually fighting about now. Okay. The second thing, we have to identify the problem. So let me ask you something. We're going out to a wedding. We're late as usual. Women both times are late. The husband is waiting already for us. So, okay.
Some sisters, let's pay attention. We'll give you time to, hug your sister. It's been a long time. We've seen some people. Please let's pay attention so that we can finish on time. Thank you.
Okay. So we have to identify why we're having this problem. Okay. And it's usually not the things we're thinking in our head, right? There's usually underlying part. There's so many different things that probably led us up to this one. So if we're going out somewhere and we're late and we get in the car and our husband gets upset, he starts screaming and there's a problem going on. It's we have to figure out why he's behaving. It's probably not because you're late one time. It's probably because you're constantly late and he's constantly waiting. or a woman even. If we're waiting for our children and now they're going to get dressed, but we're already dressed, we get frustrated. So we have to figure out, identify what the problem is so we can fix that problem and not try to fix something that's not even there. Okay. Um, do not make assumptions. Islamically, making assumptions is a very, very huge thing. And all of us have this in us that we love to assume. So we walk in the room and we see our child on the phone. Immediately they hang up the phone or they put it down. What are we thinking? They're doing something bad, right? We're making assumptions. We make assumptions almost about everything that we deal with. Okay. If you hear your friend, if I go to stand up and I start whispering to her, the other person will say, "Oh my God, they're talking about me. I know they're talking about me." That happens, right? Muslims are never supposed to make assumptions, actually, ever. Okay. Understand your emotions. What is bothering the person that's that you're having a conflict with, but also what is bothering you. It's a two-way street. And then disconnect from the conversation when it's going crazy. So we know the conversations go from 0 to 100. How quickly? In seconds. And we need to sometimes when we cannot control that conversation, we need to say, listen, let's take a break. Let's take a break and let's come back to this tomorrow after Fajr, maybe after dinner, whatever. Take a break from any situation that's escalating. Now, taking a break is not easy for some of us because we want, no, I want to talk now. Now, I need to get an answer now. Women are really masters of this because we just can't let go sometimes. But men are also, they keep coming back. Well, tell me what you do. That goes up. We have to learn how to take a break. Okay. And when you take a break, you don't just walk away, slam the door, and walk away. How do we take a break? Anybody knows? Anybody? Okay. You take a break, let them know we're coming back to the conversation. Because if you just slam the door and walk out, they're like, okay, she's up done with this. Da, da, da. But that's not what you're saying. You're saying, listen, I can't breathe right now. I need a little bit of break. So always make sure they understand that you're coming back to the conflict. Okay. And then Sana will go into detail more about using the I message. Who knows what I message is? Okay. So you know how our kids come in and then we start yelling at them, you do this, you're so disrespectful to me all the time. All of this stuff that goes on, you. Let's switch the narrative to say, I feel very disrespected when you speak to me like that. I feel hurt when you do this to me. Let them know what you're feeling. Don't just throw everything at them because the minute you say you, already the conversation has gone to another. But the minute you say, I feel hurt, guess what happens? This happened to me actually a few days ago with one of my daughters. I went to, she told me to come. I went upstairs. I was talking to her, and then she got so like frustrated, and I got angry, and I was like, "What? I came up here to help you. You're being disrespectful to me." And then she was like, I just walked away, and I did not tell her we're coming back to the conversation, okay? Because I didn't want to come to that, but I walked, and then after a little bit, she came downstairs and we spoke, and I said, I felt really disrespected when you do that. I said, there's one thing in the world you can do anything. I don't ask you for anything, but I ask you to never disrespect me. And then she said, I'm sorry. But if I had said, you're so disrespectful, you have no manner, da, 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 she's going to, take a few steps back, right? Any questions on this though? This is a really important. Okay. Hmm? Yeah. Huh? It's and what I want to do is I want to do a scenario right now so that you can understand what it looks like because I want you to get to this place where we have to understand how we respect our children, and our children have to understand how to respect us. Okay? So I'm gonna ask Azima. Everyone, this is Azima. She is the one of the children members at ISGH, the first elected woman in ISGH, guys. And and asthma. So whenever I go and do presentations, for some reason I love when they do my scenarios because they are like so good at it. So here is the script. Here is what's happening. Asma has an event at the masjid and she's supposed to be home by 10. Okay. It's now 10:30 and Azima is calling Asma, no answer. She's pacing back and forth and no answer on the phone. And Azima is like building up, like we all do. So Asma knows nothing what's going on.
Assalamu alaikum. It is wonderful to be at this masjid. I'm just gonna fix this wire. So I'm gonna bring it around you. We're the assistants. If you guys haven't figured that out, we provide the entertainment. Um, okay, so this is my daughter, and it's gonna be very realistic. So let's start.
Hey, Ami.
Hey,
Yeah,
assalamu alaikum.
alaikum assalam.
Where have you been?
The masjid, like I said, I was.
No, you said you'd
Yes.
be back by 10. This is
Okay.
now 11.
Get a
You are
chance
not.
to explain,
No,
but I have a valid
Eh,
reason.
no. You. When I tell you a time, that's the time I expect you.
Circumstances
You should
complicate
have.
the time, though.
No.
Yes. What do you mean, no? You can't
I tell
no.
you
I have a valid reason.
You
My
do
phone
not.
was
I
dead and
don't
everything.
care what the reason is. You should have
I
been
was
back.
2
And I
minutes
told
away.
you.
I was 2 minutes away.
Oh my God. Fine. What's your valid reason?
My phone died and the car had issues starting up, so I
Of
thought
all
it happened
times,
late.
guys, when you have to call me and
I
tell
was
me
at
you're
the
going to be
masjid
there,
until 11 a.m. My phone was
how am
bound
I
to
supposed to
die.
know that?
I don't have my phone on me
Okay,
right
you go on. You should stop. Is that really taken away? Yeah, that's okay. Take that one. Take that one.
Okay. So how many times has this happened with us? All the time, right? Okay. Tell me what are the wrong things that the mother did in this situation? Hold on, everyone. Raise your hand. What is the wrong thing the mother did? Go- She assumed. What else she did? She didn't give her a chance to explain. What else? Anything else you saw there? Okay. She already had an idea. I'm not going to listen to her, right? But what else? What else did you see Azima doing?
Control.
Yeah, because she's controlling, right?
Yeah, she's in control. She's no, I give you a time. You're home at this time, no matter what.
Yes, yes. We are parents are the masters of that. Okay, so yes, I was gonna wait. Yeah, the body language, the tone, right? The words, the way she's just flying those words around. So we are gonna talk a little bit more about conflict, and then we're gonna go into the correct way of doing it. Okay. All right. Yeah. A few minutes. Okay. So when we do these presentations, the most important thing about them is being interactive. There's, when everybody comes and they do lectures and they walk away with like one line. That's not what we want. We want you to walk away with tools and skills. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the negative approach. Now that we saw the negative approach, we know some things that they did. Okay. If she's focusing on issues that I told you to be here. I am your boss. You have to listen to me. I don't need to listen to you, right? She always, you're always doing that. We cannot use those words because always every single time. And the kids are like, okay, well, if you already know, or you already think I always do it, why should I even change when you already know it's always never? You never bring all A's. You never do what I tell you. Attacking someone's character. We cannot do that to our kids, to our friends, to our anybody, anybody. Islamically, this is a sin. Life, it is a horrible, horrible thing to do. And we are immediately make judgments and we start attacking them. This is something we cannot do. And then avoid or ignoring the conflict. Why can we not avoid a problem? If there's a problem going on, why must we address it? Why can we not avoid it? Go ahead. Somebody. So you had to ask. Go ahead.
Address it to build up.
It builds, and then when it builds up, what happens? The explosion that happens with it might not be able to be containable because now there are layers and layers of things. I've been putting up with you for years. I didn't say anything to you. You've been taking advantage of me, right? All of this will come up because we never addressed the conflict, fixed it, and moved on. And do you understand how important this is, everyone? Okay, good. Okay. Another thing we do is we try to compete to see who is going to win. So if we're arguing with my husband, I'm going to say something that will knock him out of the ground, right? I'm going to tell him about something else that happened. I'm going to win this one. Or our children, we do the same thing. Unless if we can't win, go to your room. I don't want to hear from you anymore. We don't. These are the things we don't do. Okay, we do not do these things. So we're not competing to win. And honestly and truly, let's talk a minute about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. How did he handle conflicts? Any conflict that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was faced with, he made sure both parties or all parties came out of it. Now, how do we do that? We're having an argument with our children, okay? I say to my daughter, you're not doing good in school. I'm gonna take your phone away. Is that a solution? No, right? But what if we say, okay, you can have your phone 1 hour a day until you get your grades up. Don't you think she'll do it better and faster? She will be studying all night to get her grades up. My daughter right now was in Pakistan for 3 weeks, okay, the youngest one. And I got a call from her school. It was not about her grades. It was not about her grades. But I know because when I'm speaking to her, I'm like, did you do your schoolwork? And she's like, yeah, mom. I was like, okay. But I never see her online. So she's not doing her school. She's homeschooled, okay? So she has to get up. So I said to her, are you doing good? Then I got a call from her school about something totally different. It's about they had an outage or something. So I messaged her and I said, Zara, and capital Zara, are you doing your schoolwork? And she's like, yes. And then started crying to my husband. And I'm like, why should I? He goes, because you said Zara in capital letters. I was like, okay. But the conflict is that if I tell her, like, if you give them no choice, I'm taking your phone away, and that's that, then they have nothing to work towards, right? It will take them longer. You have to work to get your phone back. But then if you give them 1 hour, they'll be 50-50 with you instead of 100 away from you. Okay. Tell me, Sister Khadija, keep me on time. Okay. What about blaming people? How quickly are we to blame each other? We don't even have any idea what the situation is. Sometimes we're a third party. A and B are talking, we're C, but we're already blaming A. Oh no, it has to be her fault. That's how she behaves. That is a big part of negative conflict. If we want to be better, We have to listen to everyone. We cannot just assume and blame people just because of past experience or because we don't like the way they look. I don't like the way she wraps her hijab, so it's her. We don't do things like that. Okay. Does anyone know what stonewall means? Go ahead. You just totally lock off from them. You ignore them. I'm not listening to you. You don't exist in my world. I don't care. Stonewall. Okay. Are there any men in here? Okay, only boys. Okay. Who are the worst stonewallers in the world? Number one. Number one. They are masters of stonewalling. They can stonewall us for weeks and months and maybe even years. They're so good at it. But stonewalling is something so negative for a relationship. It's negative. Imagine what our kids feel when we stonewall, right? Now imagine when we get into arguments with our kids, I'm not talking to you anymore. That's it. I'm not talking to you. And mother, I heard this just the other day with one of our clients. Our client told her child, I am dead for you. You don't say things like that to your children, right? That's another extent. That is stonewalling at the worst. So we need to be careful what we say, how we say it, when we are disrespecting each other, when we are disrespecting our children, when our children are disrespecting us. So everyone knows that what age do children learn the most? What age frame do kids learn the most? Yeah, okay. So in their early age, right? It starts from probably birth to about 5, 6, 7, maybe max. That's when they learn. 80% of what they learn is in those ages. Okay, so now imagine if you have learned 80% in about 6 years, 80% of your life you've already learned in 6 years. Who is the one that's influencing those kids? Solely the parents. So when our kids come home and we're like, oh my God, their friends are influencing them. I don't know why they're behaving like that. Yes, a part could be their friends, but a part is also you. A part is parents. So because when they were growing up, if we were dismissive to our children, are they going to grow up to be dismissive? They are. If we were yelling and screaming at them, when we yell at them now, they're so used to it. They're so used to it, they're not going to even think it's anything. Okay, should we take a break for Adhan and prayer? Or Sister Khadija? Oh, okay. All right. Any,
Sisters, please pay attention, please, so we can finish on time. Thank you.
okay. Any questions about any of the things we talked about? Go ahead.
We've touched on several strategies, right, in resolving conflict. But one thing I've not heard about is what's the role of involving a third party in resolving conflict, especially marital conflict. And my second question would be what's called especially for marital conflict, we know as couples there are certain things we cannot change in an individual, right? So there's something I cannot change in my partner. Is there a role whereby we need to just at a point accept an individual for who he or she is, and perhaps just walk away from what we cannot change? Thank you.
Okay, I love that question. Number one, the answer, when you have tried everything, and there's Islamically, we have rules too, right? You involve one person from his family, one person from your family. You try everything to make it work. Then, if you see that you're at a standstill, then you need a third party. You may need a counselor. You may need, an imam to step in. At that point, you need to get help because things are only getting worse, right? They're not getting better. So, my advice to everybody is, if you see that your relationship is getting to a point, whether it's with your child, whatever, before it escalates where it's out of control and there's no coming back, you need to get third party help. Okay. And the second part of what was the second part of the question? What was the second part of the question?
Ignoring what you can achieve.
Okay, yeah. So there are things about people that we will never be able to change. We have to accept people have things that we cannot, even if they work on it, it will be there. You can make it a little less, but those things are going to remain there. Who has to do the change? You. The person, if I have let's say my husband he has an anger issue and I know he's angry or whatever, I will try to change myself to adapt a little bit to his anger. If he is trying also to make it better, right? Now, if I'm trying 100% and he's only getting more aggressive, that's not also going to work, right? But we accept that people have weaknesses. And the weaknesses are sometimes a lot more strength. But look at the strength of the person. Look at the strength. What are the good things about them, right? What is so great about what they're doing? These are important things. So there are some things in people that will not change. I mean, we have a program called the Roadmap where we sit down with people and we work with them for like months or whatever they need help to learn skills to be better. People do change. But then there's some things about people, one or two things that they will keep. They'll learn how to manage it, but you help them to manage those flaws that they have. Okay, I'm so clear. Okay, I'm not gonna- okay, so I'll give you just a little bit of things that are my advice. Okay, number one is to diffuse it now. Don't wait for it to get bigger. Number two, one fight at a time. We talked about that. Don't try to get even and inflict pain on others. I'm going to say something more hurtful than you. You said that about my mother. Wait, you hear what I'm going to say about your mother. That's not what we do. Two things happen: either you get a large argument or you diffuse the situation. We always try to diffuse it instead of escalating. Do not get defensive. The first thing we do, anybody opens their mouth and say something, immediately we're on defense. We don't. That's something we try not to do. No blaming game, which is so important, and try to create a solution that both parties are coming out thinking that they won the whole solution. Okay. Now, seriously and honestly, I want us all to, the next time you guys are doing anything like Quran recitation or Quran studies or whatever, and as a group, really look at the Surah 49, and it gives so much details about what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to handle conflict. So, inshallah, I hope that goes good. So, should we do the scenario? So, let's do the correct scenario, and then I'll pass it off to Sadaf, inshallah.
Thank you.
Asma kept hitting me about the your mother, my mother part. Just in case you all don't know, my mother and his mother both live with us. So. We're a living example of that. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to do the right thing? Okay. Same scenario, everybody. She comes home late.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, beta. Sorry, beta. Habit. It just means my child. Where have
Okay,
you
so
been?
I have an explanation. My phone was dead because I've been at the masjid at 11 a.m. And the car was stopped working for a second. We had to kickstart it and everything. So I'm sorry I'm late, but I was at the masjid the entire time. My phone was just dead.
Okay, so, okay, first of all, I'm glad you're better. Okay, you're fine. But you know how freaked out I got
Of course.
because there was no way to get in touch with you. There's nothing I can do to try to get a hold of somebody. And that reminds me, next time you have to give me somebody's number who's with you so that I can call the other person.
Sounds good.
Because a lot of going through my mind. I was, of course, very upset. I was ready to ground you.
Okay.
Okay, so I got to sit down and actually take a breath because I was going to yell a lot.
I'm glad you didn't.
And this is the best I could do. But okay, I'm glad you told me up front because I was going to go all over the place. Okay, but I'm glad you.
Okay, so what were the difference in this conversation? No, first of all, she said salam to her mom. That caught you that right away. Okay, what else was very important that to happen in this? They listen to each other, yeah. But one thing is super important.
Give her the chance to explain.
She took a break. Oh, what else? The most important thing.
Use the mic because we have people watching on YouTube.
She
So
followed. She followed the Sunnah of Rasulullah that says that when you are mad, if you are standing, you sit down. If you are sitting, you lay down.
yes, that was excellent. She did that. Parents need to do that, okay? Because we just go up. But the most important thing that she did that diffused the situation, she said, "I am sorry." Okay, it's very hard for people to say that, but we all can say that, right? I am sorry. It's honestly these few words change the whole dynamics of a family. Okay, well, thank you all. Just son of a beyond, and you'll see the difference what I'm talking about.
So, inshallah, if you have any questions for her, we're going to do the questions and answers together, the two speakers, so you can put down your questions. We have a paper going around if you have questions.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Did you guys do the QR code? For the conflict part, do it as if you hadn't heard this amazing presentation. I'm the one who's intimidated. Okay, guys, I'm presenting with Bibi Khan. I don't know what she's talking about. How are you guys today? How many of you are willing to learn about communication? Put your hands on your hips. How many put your hands here? I see you. Body language. Do you see? You were listening to what I said, but you did what you saw. Okay, so body language is a very important part of communication. Okay, how many of you have heard it's not what you say, but how you say it? Right? It makes a big difference. And there's two parts to communication. One is listening, and the second is speaking. So I'm going to give you a little bit about the two different things. One is active listening, and the other one is how to assertively communicate what you want to say. Okay, so these are the objectives. Okay, so who has heard of what active listening is? Who knows what active listening is? Does anybody? Yes. Excellent. That was summarizing it perfectly. Active listening.
Listening with the intent to understand.
Excellent. I wish I had brought the bag of chocolates. I would have given you one. I'm so sorry. So it is a way of listening and responding to another person that improves mutual understanding. And it's not simply hearing the words, but it's about actively processing to see what they're trying to say. So I'm going to teach you today how to be an active listener. Who's ready to learn? Yes, awesome. I don't see any hands raised here. Good. Okay. Okay. So first thing in active listening is to be able to engage and respond. What does that mean? So when somebody's speaking to you, actively engage. Oh, wow. I understand. Oh, that makes sense. What happens when you do that? Not only does it let the other person know that you're listening, it also grounds your mind because our mind wanders. I mean, even in Salah, doesn't our mind wander? Right? So many times it's like there's so many things. I swear, when I'm praying, that's the time I think of my ideas. Or, oh, what's cooking? It's horrible, right? So what do you do to actively become? You have to become mindful, right? So in Salah, for example, I like to understand the meaning and think about the meaning of what I'm saying, right? That's how you become mindful. So even over here, when when somebody's talking to you, you become mindful. You say, "Oh wow, I understand what." It makes that person feel like they're being heard. Okay. Another thing with engaging and responding is to stop what you're doing. I remember when my daughter, I have two adult daughters, they're 24 and 21. But when they were growing up, I remember from school, I would be cooking, and my daughter would be talking to me, and I'd be cooking. And she'd be like, Luna, did you even hear what I said? And honestly, half of what she said, I didn't hear. So guess what happened? She stopped talking to me because she realized that I am not paying attention. Guys, everything will happen. Time goes by so fast. Don't lose the opportunity to engage with your loved ones, whether it's children, whether it's your spouse. If they're talking to you, stop what you're doing. Nothing is as important as that relationship, right? And really listen to what they're trying to say. And okay, so the other thing, how many of you understand the engage and respond part? Will you be able to implement that? And we don't, right? So many times we don't realize. We're like, oh, whatever. This is important. I want to finish cooking so I can be done on time. But that's not important. My daughters grew up like this. I mean, I just remember yesterday when they were born. That time never comes back, right? Listen to understand. What does that mean? Listen to understand means that you're actually trying to understand what the person's saying and not thinking of how to respond back. For example, if the conversation is about cleaning dishes or you didn't pick up your toys or something, instead of trying to, think of the excuses you're going to give. Oh, this is why I do it. This is why that's what you're thinking in your head. You lost track of the whole conversation. You didn't hear half of what the person said, right? How many of us do that? We're trying to immediately think of what we want to respond because we think that we're being blamed, right? The third thing, let them know you hear them. So I hear you saying. I cannot emphasize how important that is. Because guess what? Sometimes what we hear is not what the person meant, is not what the person said. So when you're repeating it, not only does it show the other person what you heard, but it also lets the other person hear it. So they're like, oh, no, no, that's not what I meant. So I hear you saying you don't want to go here with me. No, no, that's not what I meant. I meant that I'm busy. Like you can explain yourself because those misunderstandings, what we hear has a lot to do with our perception of things. So then that misunderstanding stays unless we clear it up. And it takes 2 minutes at that time. But when it goes on and on and on, and you've never cleared it up, guess what? It's hard to resolve that. So right then in that conversation, so I hear you saying, can we start doing that? Awesome. Okay. Disagree without dismissing. This is so important. Whether we're disagreeing with our teenagers, whether we're disagreeing with our husbands or with our friends, when you act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You don't understand. You weren't born here. You weren't raised here. You didn't go to school here. Don't dismiss people. Or you don't know our culture, whatever it is. You can disagree without making that person feel disrespected. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether it's a mother to a daughter or a daughter to or a daughter to a mother, when you disagree with them, make them feel respected. Instead, what you could say instead of saying something like that, what you could say is, I understand you perceive this situation in this way. This is how I perceive it. Let's try to come to a middle ground. And you'll see, you will be able to come to a middle ground. And the final one is listen with care and intent. Set aside time to have important conversations. Actively listening in a relationship means allowing the other person to speak what they're saying. What does that mean? You're not interrupting them. You're not trying to get them to hurry up and finish. You're actually letting them speak their mind to allow them to tell you how they feel. How many of us actually take the time to understand how our children feel or how our parents feel? Like the example BB gave, right, of the report card, 3 A's, a C, and an A. What if we took that time to say, you know what? You've gotten all A's. That's amazing. What happened with the C? Is everything okay? Is there something you don't understand? If you are nice about it and not like, oh my God, you gotta see. Don't you think that child already feels bad? If that child has gotten already 3 A's that they have a C on the report card, they're already feeling bad. We don't need to make them feel worse. But what we need to do is try to listen, care, and intent about why this happened. What happened to cause this? So many of our kids are being bullied in school and we don't even know about it because we don't have the time to listen with care and intent. Right? So, how many of you understand what active listening is now? Yeah? Do you think those little things can make a difference? Right? Okay. Now that we know what listening is, I want to talk about assertiveness. What is assertiveness? Okay, so I'm going to call, can I have some volunteers? A couple of volunteers. Come on.
Volunteer.
Come on.
Youth.
How about the volunteer? Okay, perfect. And
Aliyah.
come over there.
Come.
Okay, perfect.
How many volunteers do you need?
Just 2 is good.
Just two.
Okay.
Okay, we have two already.
So I'm gonna read the situation. Actually, one more volunteer is good. You come. Okay, here she's coming. Okay, I'm gonna read the situation, okay? And then you are gonna do the passive communication. You're gonna do the aggressive, and at the end, you're gonna do assertive. Okay? So there's 3 types of communication. There's passive, aggressive, and assertive. Passive is when you don't even allow people. It doesn't matter what. It's okay. You let it go. How many of you do that? You let things go. It's okay. I don't know. Whatever is fine. Guess what happens with that? People will stop asking you. Your opinion will stop mattering because it's like, oh, she's okay with everything. But then guess what? You're not okay with everything. You want your opinion told, but you just don't, you just don't know how to say it. And aggressive is when you're really over like angry, assertive, you're disrespectful, right? So the situation is a friend shows up late to a movie you really wanted to see, causing you both to miss it. So first, we're gonna have the passive. First, you're passive.
Okay, yeah. It's okay. I didn't want to see it that much anyway.
That happens. Yeah. It's okay. Okay, now aggressive.
You're always right. You never think about anyone but yourself.
Right? Now both of these. Wait, did anything get fall? Nothing, right? Now let's do assertive.
I'm really disappointed you missed the movie because I really wanted to see it. Next time, I'd like us to pick a
My writing is bad. Pick a time,
that works better for your schedule.
right? What? Good job. Good job. Give them a round of applause. Thank you, guys. Okay, I'm going to do another situation. So, what did you see about
Volunteer.
Yeah, I'll interlude. So, what did you guys see in the assertive part? She explained why she was upset. I'm really disappointed, right? That this happened. Next time, this is what I would like to happen. So, what happened? The other person doesn't feel offended. They understand that they did something that wasn't right, and they should also value the other person's time. And it can cause a big disagreement or a big argument. But how many of us take the time to do that? So assertive communication is expressing how you feel, why you feel it in a way that is respectful to the other person. So let's do another situation. Can I have another 3 people? You guys, you in the yellow shirt. Come.
Who else wants to volunteer?
Yes, the girl
Come
over
on.
there.
Come on. How many do you need? You need 2?
3.
3. Come on.
Come on, good job. Because I really want you guys to understand assertive communication. Okay? All right. We have some really cool people. Okay. You are going to do the passive.
Okay.
You are going to do the aggressive. And you are going to do the assertive. Okay? I'm sorry about your writing. Okay. Situation. A person cuts ahead in line you have been waiting for a long time in. And that happens in the food line, especially with Desis. I don't know, I'm Desi, and like in a wedding, you have these long lines, and people just come and pretend to talk to you and cut in. That happens all the time, right? Okay, so passive,
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, you can do whatever you want to me. I'm just run over. That's okay. Okay.
Certainly.
No,
Pardon,
you're good.
What's wrong with you? I have got to be somewhere. What's your thoughts?
Come on, you can.
Okay. What's wrong with you? I have got to be somewhere.
Good job. He's like, what's wrong with you? I've got to be somewhere, right? And now you're assertive.
pardon me. I have been waiting in line for a while. I have to be someplace soon. Would you mind taking your turn?
Good job. What? What did that? Was that hard? Good job, guys. Thank you. Amazing. We have some great talent here, guys. Okay. So what did you learn? What did you learn with the way he said that? What did he? Did everybody hear what he said? I've been waiting in line for a while, and I have to be somewhere. Would you mind waiting your turn? Is that so wrong? Is that so hard? It's. But how many of us do it? We don't, right? Because we assume that our feelings don't matter, or we assume that our feelings matter too much when we become aggressive. So the important thing is for us to be able to express ourselves in a respectful way, which will avoid any issues later on, right? And if you want, how many of you are used to passive communication? Like you just let people walk all over you. It's okay. It doesn't matter. You don't. So how can you, the question is, how do I become an assertive communicator, right? What you do is you start with little things like, oh, can you pass me that pen? Can you save a seat for me at lunch? You know, ask for little things that are not too much or too hard and practice. Practice asking people things, practice giving your opinion, practice letting people know how you feel. It's very important because when things build up inside of you, it turns into depression, it turns into anger, it turns into anxiety because you never got to say your piece. And so many times, you know what happens? We don't even understand ourselves why we're upset. When people stop asking us why, or people stop asking us our opinions, we don't understand why that happened. When in the end, it was our fault because we never assertively stated what we wanted. I want to also go, in assertive communication also involves I versus you statements. So that Bibi was talking about, right? It's very important. For example, an I statement would be I feel frustrated when I come home and find a pile of messy dishes, right? A you statement would be you come home and there's messy dishes on the table, right? What do you say? The you statement would be you never clean the dishes. You are always so dirty. What are you doing? Your character assassinating that child, right? Instead, if you say, I feel frustrated when I come home and find a pile of messy dishes because I like to come home to a clean space. Can we please work on it? That's going to start the conversation onto solutions instead of being mad at each other. We automatically get so upset and so mad, and we start blaming, or you're a liar, you're this. What are you doing? And you know what happens? What we don't understand? Sheikh Omar Suleiman said this at a convention, and it stuck with me so. I mean, I just cannot forget it. When your child looks in the mirror, they see everything you've told them about themselves. So they might act all like, oh, I don't care what you're saying, but they will hear those things again and again. So be very careful how you're addressing them. Be very careful. That thing is wrong, not them. They might have lied about one thing, but they don't become liars because of that. Do you know what I'm saying? Does it make sense? Okay. So how do I turn the video on this sort of okay. So this is just a short video on assertive communication because I really think that all of us, especially as Muslim women, we need to be able to assertively communicate how we feel, our values, our opinions to our children, to our parents, to our spouses. It's very important. I think. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be the end. So we're going to, if there's any questions, you can just get them. Yes. 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 Yeah. Okay. So tell me, guys, what did you guys learn about assertive communication? What is one thing that you're going to start doing now? Come on, tell me. Talk to me. I statements. Absolutely. Yes. Were you saying? What about active listening? What do you know about active listening? Tell me. Listen and respond, right? What else? Yes. Let them know that you hear them. Pay attention. Take out that time. Do you guys have this? Go ahead. Listen and understand. Excellent. Excellent. How important is that? How many times do we understand what the other person's saying instead of thinking what we are thinking about it? Right? How many of you guys know what expectations are? What are expectations? Tell me. When people expect you to do something, right? They're conversations we have in our own heads that we expect, but we don't even communicate them to the other person, right? You expect your kids to do blah, blah, blah. But have you ever sat down and told them? No. But when they don't do it, guess what? It's a big thing because you communicated those expectations. And how many of us do that, right? All the time we have these expectations that we expect from our friends, from our husbands, from our family members, but we never told them. It's so easy to just communicate it, but we think they should know. We've been married for 10 years. We've been married for 20 years. He should already know these things. Guess what? They're dumb, guys. And just understand that men are dumb. They don't know. Not about women things, right? But they don't know. It's okay to communicate it. Even children. We think that they should know something. They don't. Just tell them and it'll save so much hassle. Just that video. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Can you guys? Can you hear?
Sisters, if you stop talking, you will hear the video.
I promise it's worth it. Two, learn to recognize and name what you need. This is a challenge because a lot of the time we don't know what our needs are. We might think we just need somebody to do the dishes when what we actually need is for them to take on a more equal share of the course. We might think we need someone we're dating to text more, and what we really need is to secure in our relationship. So for this tip, practice looking for the need behind it. Start with something big, then dig deeper. Why do I need? If you need a day off work because your friend is in town, great, it's a best for a day off work. But if you need a day off work because you're burnt out and working 80-hour week, when what you really need might be a more sustainable work schedule. And addressing the need in one difficult conversation with your boss can prevent falling into the we don't have everything, but another benefit of getting to the bottom of our needs is that people are more supportive of our solutions if they understand why we need them. Three, start with low stakes situations. If you're shy about practicing assertive communication, you can do what I suggest. Start with simple people and easy situations. Let your best friend know you have a down. Ask for friendly favor for extra work on levels without apologizing. This can make you feel empowered and build up your communication skills and confidence, which can prepare you for more difficult situations, like when the stakes are higher or there are like talking to your boss. I'll link to the text on this. Four, be aware of your body. Communication isn't just the word we use, it's also our body language and tone. For using assertive language while standing over someone who's sitting, it can come across as aggressive. If our tone is timid, it can come across as passive or sobbing or screaming. It's hard to take seriously. Each make it hard to really our as Ashley puts it, our reactions can be predictable. And as we get more emotional, our cognitive ability declines. So there's a point of no return after which it's basically impossible for us to make rational decisions like step away from toxic conversation. But if we're aware of the tone of voice, we can change it to better suit the situation. And being aware of our body can help us recognize when we start to get upset, which can be a good step away before we get to that point of no return. Finally, don't wait. It's important that we talk about situations that are problematic as early as possible before they become a regular occurrence, especially if someone's mistreating or taking advantage of it. For example, last week they visited a friend from another country and it was great. The only problem was that she put me down all the time and I didn't think about it. We thought, well, it doesn't matter how much it would hurt me, how much it was not a big deal. But the problem with this was that she was saying meaner things than I accepted. When we don't call out the difference, it tends to continue and even get worse. And once it's a little dynamic, it's a lot harder to change. The same is true of our we establish a relationship where we're always putting the other person's needs first. Even if for a good reason, it's not sustainable for us. It also into being taken advantage of. It's good in the understanding of other limitations, but it's important that we have limitations too. If we're clear about those in a relationship, it's a lot to make sure everyone's needs are taken into consideration moving forward. That's how it's making us easier. Of course,
What did you guys? Every point was so valid, right? Right? So that's all for my presentation for today. I really hope that you guys learned a little bit about how to actively listen and how to assertively communicate. Because you guys, a lot of you are the next generation, and a lot of you are raising the next generation. And unless we can learn how to speak up about how we feel, we are not going to be able to get anywhere in this society or in this world. Thank you guys. I hope you guys learned something. And does anybody have any, you want to do discussion or questions? How do I go back? Any questions for?
Okay, so we're taking questions now. I'm going to give preference to the youth. You have a question? Jibril? No, okay. So you can write your questions down if you are shy, but it's questions.
Assalamu alaikum. So I'm going to try to make this kind of short but effective. So I have a 19-year-old. We moved down here 6 years ago from Illinois. Since we moved, she has become very to herself. She doesn't talk to anyone in the family. She hibernates in her room. It's just her and I. We live together now. There are days when I don't even see her in a two-bedroom apartment. I don't see her. So I'm at the point where I try to talk to her to find out what's going on with her, what's the problem. And I don't know if it's my approach. I come from a day and age where, your parents are very strict to tell you this, that, and this, and you're supposed to respect that. However, I have tried to kind of calm myself down and be more approachable with her, but it doesn't work. I actually asked her to come here with me today, and she wouldn't. So this has been going on for 6 years, is what I'm saying. So at this point, I'm at a loss. I don't know how to approach her anymore. How would be an effective way to approach her and let her know, listen, we need to be on the same page. I don't see this girl. I have not seen her yet this morning.
How old is she again?
She's 19.
She's 19. So I will honestly tell you that I think you should send her to counseling at this point. Because if you've been trying for years and it's not working, now you need a third party to intercede.
I wanna give you a personal example. My own daughter did the same thing when she's 21 now, but when she was 13, 14, she started going to her room a lot. She completely shut down in communication. So I was like, what's going on? And I would always get mad at her. Her grades started falling, and I would just be like yelling at her, "Brooke, you're always in your room. You never want to help. You never want to do this." And she shut down even more. Then I tried being like, what's going on? Eventually, I let her have her space, but I let her know